What up, y'all? Hey, this is K the Barber, man, one of the Let's Talk About It podcast. Man, I have a special person in the house today, Jennifer Drew. You know what I'm saying, man? She is amazing. The hair CEO. That's what she goes by on Instagram. Man, she has a lot of information. She's an entrepreneur, a business consultant. She does your taxes as well if you want to save some money. You know what I mean? And she is a business owner. So, man, we are going to be blessed with her presence today, with this conversation, this organic conversation that we're going to have, man, about her life and just about her journey, and also just about businesses, you know what I mean, and how we can save money and do the right thing to prepare ourselves for the IRS. You know what I'm saying? I think we all know about them.
Everybody.
How you doing today? What's going on?
I'm great. I'm feeling good.
That's good. Man, the hair CEO.
Yeah.
How'd you get that name?
So first of all, I consider myself a CEO.
Okay.
And chief executive officer. I've owned many businesses, and the majority of them have all been in the hair industry. So that's why I call myself the hair CEO. That's honestly where it came from. I have multiple businesses, and the majority of them have been in the hair industry.
Multiple businesses, like 10, 20?
Oh, gosh, no. I mean, I'm not that old.
Okay. No,
yeah, but I've had, my first business in the hair industry was an importing business. So I was importing hair products from the Dominican Republic to the U.S.
Okay.
And then that morphed into retail. So when I was importing, I was a distributor. So that's kind of like two businesses, because you have to import it, and then I was a distributor. And then I went into retail, and then I went into manufacturing. I had my own product line. So I had oil, I had some leave-in conditioners, things like that. And then I sold those. I had a marketing firm for Dominican hair salons. And then from there, I owned a Dominican hair salon. Okay. And then from there, I opened up an accounting firm for hair professionals. So that's where we are now.
Dominican. So are you Dominican?
Honorary, but no, I am not Dominican.
You're not Dominican, but you own a Dominican salon. How did that work?
I know, that's so strange, right?
Right. How did that? Because I was looking at some of your stuff, and you said, "Yeah, I own a Dominican salon." And I was thinking, I don't hear no accent. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? So tell me about that. How did that work?
So after college, my degree is in economics and business, and after I graduated from college, I studied abroad for a year, and I lived in the Dominican Republic with a host family for a year. Yeah. And so that was my first introduction to Dominican hair salons. Now, I was already a big hair fanatic.
Right.
And being in the Dominican Republic was like hair fanatic on 1,000, because that culture is really serious about their hair, just like I was. Right. So I was living with a host family, my sister and my mom, which to this day, I call them my Dominican mom and my Dominican sister. Yeah. But they were just as obsessed, and we made it it was a family event going to the hair salon. And when I was in school, because I was studying Spanish down there, and when I was in school, everyone knew that if they couldn't find me, that I was at a hair salon or I was at a store looking at hair products. And I bought so many hair products while I was there. When it was time for me to leave, my sister, she was like, "Well, Jennifer, you can't take all these products with you. What are you going to do?" Right. And I was so torn. So I left all my clothes.
Okay.
And just bought back the hair products. And word. Yeah, word. And so that's when I came back with all the hair products, and I was here in the U.S., back in the U.S., and I went to a Dominican hair salon. That was my first time at a Dominican hair salon. And I didn't realize that they had gotten really big in the U.S. So I went to one, and because I had learned Spanish, I was like, why are these people talking about us, Black folks? And I got really upset.
Like, word? So they didn't know you were just a regular Black person. They thought you was Dominican like them.
No. No, they did not know that I spoke Spanish.
So they talking in Spanish about black people, and he's just like,
exactly. And I'm like, this is not cool.
Right.
So that was kind of like happening very early. Okay. So
yeah,
there were tons of Dominican hair salons at that time. Well, not a ton, but enough, right? So I would just look for another hair salon. I was like, I don't like the way they treat people. And then I forgot. Look, I'm talking about it's so many like places this story leads. I forgot where am I supposed to be going with this particular story? How did that turn into the Dominican hair salon?
Well, we were just talking about you being, and I thought you were Dominican, but how did it work with you actually owning a Dominican hair salon without being Dominican?
Right, gotcha. Okay, so when I came back, so I'm going to Dominican hair salons, and I'm just realizing that they're talking about people. But at the same time, I started asking them how they get their products because they weren't using the products that I was used to in the Dominican Republic. And so once I got comfortable with one of the salons, I started asking them about products that I knew of. And then I was bringing my products because I had a whole bunch of them. And they were asking me like, where did you get this? Like, oh my God, like this is back from home. I'm like, yeah. And so that's when I realized that there was an opportunity to be a distributor. So that's when I started making connections back in the DR and I started importing hair products and I was distributing to the Dominican hair salon. So that's kind of how it started. And that's how I started building the relationships with the Dominican hair salons. From there, when I started having bad experiences with Dominican hair salons talking about people, I started a company. This was like pre-Yelp. So I started a company where you could find a Dominican hair salon. It was the Dominican Salon Locator.
Okay.
And you typed in a zip code and then you could find a Dominican hair salon and leave a review. So this thing got really popular. I mean, it was in the Washington Post. It was also in the Wall Street Journal. Really, really popular. And what happened was some of the salons went out of business because of the comments, because now people could find which salons were the best and didn't talk about people.
Wow.
And from there, so I had this Dominican Salon Locator. And that's when I started working with more Dominican salons outside of my area for distributionship. So I started working with hair salons throughout the US and just making different connections. And a hairstylist approached me about going into business together. She wanted me to be an investor in a salon that she was opening. Now, I had no desire to own a salon, zero. But I was like, okay, you know what? These salons, I see they're making a ton of money. I was like, you know what? I could do this. I could be a silent investor. You know, she's going to do everything. But what ended up happening was, went into business with her and I was the money behind it. But she was supposed to run everything. But I didn't agree with the way she was running things. And she kept asking for more money. And I'm just like, something is wrong here. But I said I would be a silent investor, but I just couldn't keep my mouth shut anymore. So I was just telling her, like, we're doing this wrong. Like, you need to be doing this X, Y, and Z, like the business side of things, because she had only been a stylist. So if we bumped heads so much, I ended up buying her out. I just bought her out and I was like, go your own way, because this is my money and I needed to make a return. So I bought her out. So I bought her out and turned the salon around, and the salon was a huge hit. But at the same time, I did not want to own a Dominican hair salon. I mean, I spoke Spanish, so I had a good relationship with the girls, but Spanish is not my first language. So I struggle with communication, being in a salon where I didn't like feeling like I depended on them so much, because it's not like we had a ton of Dominican stylists at my disposal. So I couldn't just get rid of people when they weren't doing well or, weren't performing well. So I did not like feeling like I didn't have control. So I started working with one of my top stylists for her to buy it from me. And that was the process. I was teaching her the back end of things, but she ended up getting married to a guy in the military, and he got stationed in Tennessee. So that my plan kind of blew up. So I was like, what am I going to do? So the salon was really popular, and I just put it out there that I was selling it, and someone immediately kind of was just like, yeah, I want it. But at the same time, there were things going on in the salon. Like I was getting more serious about taxes. You know, right now the girls were being paid under the table. There were a lot of things that were not done correctly as it relates to how they were paid.
Right.
And once I started telling them that I wanted to put them on payroll, I wanted to, you know, do things a little differently, they started revolting. They were just like, we're going to walk out. You're not going to have any stylists. And I was just like, oh, okay. And I'll show you. And they got a surprise of their life when I walked in there one day and I was like, yeah, starting Monday, there's a new owner. Because I wasn't going to have people like, this is my business. You're not going to tell me how I run it. Because once I knew what I was doing was illegal, and then I could get fined because another salon had gotten fined, I was like, I wasn't willing to risk that.
So let's piggyback off that right now. As far as, you know, being a hair salon owner and running the way you want it to run, and not being scared of losing clients, losing your contractors, or just your workers at all. Like, tell me like the mentality behind it, because sometimes these business owners let their stylists run the business.
Oh, absolutely.
So tell me about that a little bit.
I don't know. It's difficult because, I mean, to a certain extent, they did have a lot of control. I mean, to me, it was, okay, are they going to have it their way? Or am I going to have it my way? Well, they had already told me that my way, they were going to walk out. I did look for other stylists, but it's a culture, you know, and that culture is used to operating a certain way, where it's all under the table. You know, it's not a W-2. People are on public assistance, so they don't want to show that they're making over a certain amount of money. I mean, it's a whole mindset that I didn't even realize was out there for the reasons why they were doing it. And, you know, for me, it was, I wasn't willing to not be in control over my business. And I would rather get rid of it than own a business that I don't really control. Because at that point, I'm not a CEO. At that point, I'm just a pawn to my stylist or a pawn to the clients. And I refuse. There's no way.
That's good. That's good. That's good to know, man, because there's a lot of business owners out there, and I know some myself, that just let their contractors just run the business any way they want to. You know what I mean? From just the smallest things of leaving the AC on all night.
Let me tell you, here's a little hack for that. Here's a hack, because here's the thing: people will never care about your business the way you do. And so that was something that happened, right? So the girls would leave the air on all day over the weekends, and you know, the electricity bill was really high. So what you do is you put a lockbox over it. And that's exactly what I started doing. I put a lockbox, and it was controlled through my phone. And if they wanted the heat or the AC adjusted, they had to reach out to the manager, or they had to reach out to me, because they no longer had access to mess with the AC. So little things.
It's like I said, like the small things right there. And we can go into, you know, I was a shop owner for 10 years before I sold it during COVID, and there's just like so many just things that the contractor will try to push the limit, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
You set these goals and boundaries for the business, but then it's like when you're not there, what do they say? when the cat is gone, the mouse will play. You know, from super play, you know, and so that's important. That's important for you business owners to know that, man. You know, have complete control of your business. Don't let your contractors control your business at all. So you had the salon.
I did,
right? And you were trying to sell it, and it didn't work out for you. But like, what
do you mean?
Was the salon? I didn't work out trying to sell the salon. Like you were.
No, I did sell the salon.
You sold the salon.
I did. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. But it worked out for you. I'm sorry, but then, forget all that. So let's keep it on 100. Okay. Forget all that then. So so the salon that you were doing business in was in what city?
It was in Suitland, Maryland.
Okay, which is where, like the DMV area?
Yeah, DMV area. So it was about 15, well, no, less than that. Maybe about 10 minutes from DC. It was about, less than 10 miles from the city.
So, are you from DC?
Originally born and raised Northwest DC, and like DC proper, not Maryland, not Virginia, DC. And see my shirt. This is Love DC.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah, this is that's the flag. That's the representation of DC.
I gotta go to DC, man. It called DC Chocolate City. Is that true?
Not so much now. It's a lot of other people here now. It's
okay.
I don't know. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So growing up in DC, tell me about that a little bit. Do you think DC kind of raised you to be the person who you are?
I don't know. I'm not sure because a lot of people say I don't act, talk, or anything like I'm from DC. So I don't know if I can contribute that to DC, but I feel that I grew up in the best place. I think I went to the best schools. I went to the best schools in DC, the best public schools. And I mean, I just love this area. There's a lot of diversity, but there's a lot of politics, in this area. There's a lot of lawyers in this area. So it really is a wonderful place if you make it.
Kind of utilize what you have that's in front of you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I want to go to DC. I do. Like I was telling you earlier. I have a sister out there, man, and I just hear a lot of things about it. Just the culture within itself.
Yes.
Go-go music, right? Y'all got the go-go thing going on out there in DC.
We do. I'm not a big go-go fan. That's one thing that people like. Take my DC card. Yeah, I'm not a.
That's what I was kind of. Yeah, you gotta be down with that go-go. You're not a go-go person
at all. Never been to a go-go concert ever.
Wow, you're the black sheep of the whole crew.
Probably. I mean, all of my friends have been to go-go's. I have never been to a go-go ever. Nope.
Man, my first experience to a go-go type club was in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Okay.
And we're coming from Langley. I was stationed in the military in the Air Force, and we drove down there for like Thanksgiving. And we went to this club, and it was in Greensboro, North Carolina. And man, they had that go-go music popping so tough. I was like, man, what the world is going on? I'm a Cali boy. We don't have go-go out here. We hear about it. But man, I was like, dude, this is off the chain. I know I would have been a go-go boy all day if I was raised in DC.
Right. Now, I will say when I hear go-go, I am full of pride. I am. Okay. I'm like, that's home. So go-go music is home. I'm just not like a huge go-go fan. Like I don't know a lot of go-go bands. Like I said, I've never been to a go-go concert. I don't even know if they call them concerts. But that's just never been me. But the music, like when it comes on, when I hear go-go, I'm filled with like, that's home.
Okay, cool. We ain't gonna pull your DC card, yo. All right.
Don't pull my DC card.
We're gonna do it right now.
Don't pull my DC card. But I'm totally a DC girl.
Okay. All right. So I have a question for you.
Yep.
When you hear the word money, what do you think about?
When I hear the word money, I think about the exchange of services for money. I mean, I think of services. I think of some type of transaction. I think of, a transaction, something for something. That's what I think of. I don't know if that's strange, but when I think of money, I think of what was the transaction that gave me this money.
Right. Either if it's good or bad.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If it's good or bad. What was the transaction?
Right. I know for myself, I think of wealth. Right. Financial freedom.
Really? I do not think of that.
I do, because with money, I think about, in my 20s, even in my 30s, if I had the knowledge of what I know now about money, and how it can make you, it can make you break you, right? Yes. The way how to utilize it could take you to the next level anything that you want to do in life. So when I think of money to this day, I think of wealth. I think of financial freedom, just because, I don't know about you, but I grew up kind of poor.
Oh yeah, I think too. See, here's the difference though, and I guess that's why I think of the transaction when I think of money, because to me, money doesn't automatically equate to wealth, because it depends on what transaction you're doing with the money. Because you could have money and you could spend it on a lot of liabilities, and that's not going to get you wealth. So it's the transaction. What are you doing with the money that's going to actually build wealth? So I don't see them as one and the same. You can give two people the same amount of money and one may become wealthy. The other one could not. I mean, they could blow it all. So that's why I personally think of transactions. What are you going to do with that money? So that's really important.
No, it is. It's really important. Do you read a lot of financial books?
Oh, absolutely. Financial books, biographies. I'm totally a nonfiction type of girl.
Right. I saw that in your Instagram. Yes. I was looking at those. I was like, let me see what's about this girl Jenny Drew. That separates her. That separates her from everybody else. And I like the fact. But one thing that stuck out to me. You chose cash over credit.
Absolutely.
What's the reason behind that?
Cash over credit and there's nothing wrong with credit. It's just that I prefer cash over credit, because when you're using credit, that doesn't equate to an asset. So if I have $100,000 in cash and I have $100,000 in credit or in debt, then my net worth is zero, because you owe the same amount of money as you have. So I prefer cash, because if I have $100,000 in cash and zero in debt, then my net worth is $100,000. So that's why I will always prefer cash over credit. Now, again, I'm not against credit, but you have to use it responsibly. And unfortunately, most people don't use it responsibly, which is even more reason why I say I prefer credit. I prefer cash over credit.
Right. So when would be a good time to use credit?
I think a good time to use credit is when you know that the credit is going to, number one, how it's going to be paid back, or if beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's going to be used to make you money. Okay. Those are the only reasons.
So basically, like real estate will be a good.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And then for me, someone may ask me, okay, well, do you use credit cards personally? Absolutely. I try to buy everything on a credit card first, but I also stick to my personal budget. So you'll never see me using credit for something that isn't already factored into my budget. So I pay my credit card off every single month. I never carry a balance, but that's because I'm also aware of my budget and I'm using my credit responsibly. So I never, I remember one time, I don't know what was going on, but I missed a credit card payment and I had $23 in interest. I about lost my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, they got $23 out of me. I was pissed. I was pissed. I was so upset. I was like, oh, they got me.
That is a great mindset to have. Especially right now. So how did you get that mindset? Right? Because a lot of people's like, I just paid that $23.
Right.
I'm tripping.
Some people don't even know it's there, right? They don't even know they got charged the $23.
I'll pay the bare minimum. So what I try to do with my credit cards is I look at the interest, I look at the minimum payment, and I make sure I pay more than that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? No matter what, because I don't want my principal, because some people don't know is that you pay the bare minimum, you still might owe more than what you paid on the principal.
Oh, absolutely.
Because your interest rate is more than your bare minimum. So you're wondering why it's taking you X amount of time to try to just get the principal down is because that interest rate is killing your pockets just as
Yep.
much. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
that's important, man.
Yeah.
To make sure you do that, you know. But so your mindset behind that of having the zero balance every month, where did that stem from?
That stemmed from, so I love business and I love, learning about money and how it works and building wealth. And so I got hooked on Dave Ramsey. And Dave
That's what
Ramsey,
I'm on.
you are? Okay, yeah.
Yes.
I'm a huge Dave Ramsey fan. I actually went through his certification. So I am a certified money coach through Dave Ramsey. And I know that he preaches not to have credit cards. And that's where he and I disagree because, I'm going to use a credit card because I get my cash back. But I understand why he does not recommend them, because most people are not like myself who are going to be diligent to pay it off every month. And so I get why he doesn't recommend them at all. He's like, nope, I don't even want any gray areas. Don't use them. Cut them up. But I disagree. I'm going to use credit cards all day, every day. I'm going to use my credit card. But that's where it came from. I've really, once I started getting serious about my money and wealth, and I still owned the salon at this time. But that's when things started to change because my eyes were opened up. I started learning about taxes. I had tried to buy a house. I got denied. I'm trying to figure out, why did I get denied? I have all this money. I have a successful business. It's a six-figure salon. We got lines out the door. Like, why can't I buy a home? I'm renting from my mom. And my mom was never a business owner. So my mom was like, you need a W-2 job. I had never worked a real job before. Like, I had never worked for anyone else. And she was like, you need a W-2 job. That's why you couldn't qualify. And I was like, oh, is that the why? Okay. So I went and got a full-time job while I owned the hair salon. And I didn't even know like how to get a full-time job. I called my best friend and I was like, Kevin, how do I get a job? Like, what am I going to do? And he was like, well, Jen, you've owned multiple businesses, internet businesses. He was like, you should get something in IT. And he was like, and you have a degree in economics, do something in finances. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So I found an IT job in finances and I worked this full-time job. And I've mentioned this in one of my, my reels, but I started making $75,000 starting out and I got my first paycheck. And I looked at it, I was shocked because I was like, I pay my hairstylist more than this. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what? How is it that I can buy a house now that I have this W-2 job? I'm making less than what I pay my hairstylist. And I looked at it and I said, oh, they're taking out taxes. And that's when I started to figure out, okay, what is this tax thing? And that's what I was doing wrong. And that's when I really started understanding, okay, this is what this is about. Because I was working in finance on the IT side. And so I started digging in deep, and that's when I started really getting, interested in taxes. And that's when I started trying to making the changes at the salon. That's when they were not having it.
Taxes.
Yeah.
Can make you or break you in this
Absolutely.
Am I right or wrong?
Oh, you are right. Very right.
IRS will make your life a living hell if you don't
take
care of your business.
They have so much control.
Too much control. Could be 100. I hope they don't shut us down for saying that.
Right.
Sorry, IRS. But
they're listening. They're everywhere.
Man, it's amazing. Like I preach on this a lot as well, but not necessarily on this platform, but just in real life to people that I know that are like, hey, I want to own a house, or I want to do this. I want to own a business. And the very first thing I tell them to do is you pay your taxes, dude.
Yep.
And I think that's something that we go wrong in this society as far as barbers and stylists is that we don't pay our taxes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money. So it's like, how can an institution, right, say, okay, I'm gonna give you $250,000 to purchase this house,
mm-hmm.
but how am I gonna get my money back? And like, what are you showing me? What is your history, a line of income, of credit, or anything for like, okay, I'm gonna trust you with this note to pay it back. Mm-hmm. So I think that's smart, and I like what you're doing on your platform, man. Is showing us like, don't be scared to pay your taxes. but just know the right way how to do that. You know
Absolutely.
what I
mean? Yeah. I think another big aha moment for me was because I look at everything through the eyes of a business. And once I started realizing that the US is a business, and the way they make their money is through taxes. And so I started looking at it like, would I want a customer to come into my hair salon and get services and leave out without paying me my money? No, I wouldn't.
Exactly.
And that's exactly the way I started looking at it. And I said, oh, the US is a business and I get certain things. I have certain liberties and I have to pay them for the service of living here. And another reason why I feel like I'm able to have that perspective is because I've traveled extensively. You know, I've traveled throughout Europe. I've traveled throughout Africa, and I've seen other countries. I mean, you know, I lived in the Dominican Republic for a year, and I go back to the Dominican Republic every year. And I love the DR, but it's not the US. People don't realize how good we have it here in the US. And if that means I have to pay them my taxes, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pay them because it's a business. So we really take a lot for granted. And I'm not pro IRS at all, but you know, I do enjoy living in the US. But I've, you know, and I can say that because I've traveled a lot, and there's no other place I would want to live. I mean, I'll probably retire in the DR, but there's no other place I want to live.
Mm-hmm. So, what would be the best way to save money on your taxes?
Oh, hands down. I mean, I talk about this, but for a hair professional, the best way, hands down, to save money on taxes is to be taxed as an SCorp. And the reason you save money that way is because you're able to divide up how you come up with your income. So you can take part of the income as a salary and then part of the money as a distribution. And that is how you are able to save the most money in taxes. The other way, which I call I don't know if I call it the poor man's way, but it's certainly the way I was doing it, was I was making a lot of money, but then I was showing that I spent all the money on business expenses so that I could save money on taxes, right? And in reality, that just shows that
you broke.
You're broke. Or you don't know what you're doing. Like, why are you in business, sir? Ma'am, why are you in business? You're making 100,000 and spending 95,000. You probably don't know what you're doing. I don't know if business is for you.
My tax person, he was like, it's good that you pay taxes. It means you're not broke.
Exactly. Because if you don't pay taxes, you're broke.
If you get, I mean, we can be a little bit serious, but man, it's funny as hell because it opened up it was a big aha moment for myself. It's like, you know, that makes sense.
Yes.
That makes perfect sense. Like if I'm paying taxes, who wants to pay taxes?
Nobody.
I mean, raise your hand. Nobody.
Nobody.
But when it made sense to me, he was like, you know what? You paying money into the tax system means that you're not broke and that you're making money. He said, broke people get money back. I was like, yes. Ooh, that's deep.
Well, two types of people get money back.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Broke people get money back, and people who paid too much during the year get money back.
Get money back. There you go. Right. Facts. So you pay too much, you're gonna get money back too. But
yeah, but
I don't know. The majority of the people, we already know.
Right. It's because they broke.
We hurt some people's feelings right now, but I'm sorry.
We are. But you know what? I don't even think their feelings are hurt. They know what they're doing.
Fact. That is true. That is true. There's too many people out there, man. They're not doing the right thing. You know. So SCorp, and you know, I have a client, and that's all he does is file SCorp. You know what I mean? And so, like, SCorp must be the thing, but everybody's talking about LLCs. That's the first thing. Oh, go get an LLC. You want to protect yourself. Go do this for the LLC. You want to do this, that, and third. I'm just like, okay, LLC. So I got an LLC.
Yeah.
Right.
As you
just
should
like
have.
like everybody else, right? Just to protect myself. I have, I have houses, I have whatever, and but an S corp, I got to do more research myself on an S
So
corp.
here's the thing. So a lot of people get S corps wrong because
Yeah,
a lot of people think that an S corp is a business entity, and it's not. So it's not
okay,
that you have either an LLC or an S corp.
yeah, both.
That's not the case. It's LLC is your business entity. The S corp is an election. The S corp means you have asked the IRS to tax you a certain way. That's all a S corp is. It is permission to put yourself on payroll.
Okay,
That's what it is.
I hope y'all learning something today.
Yeah, it's not a business entity. No, but I get it. A lot of people say, "Oh, I'm an S corp." Oh, okay, that's great. And I'm cool with that. What they're really saying is that they have permission to be taxed as an S corp. But I'm not going to sit up here and correct people because even I say it sometimes, like, "Oh, they're an S corp," but technically they are not an S corp. Technically, they are taxed as an S corp. But again, that's a technicality that I'm not going to sit up here and make sure people say correctly.
Right.
Exactly. It's not necessary.
Whatever.
Yeah. I know what they're saying.
Right. Exactly. Mental health has been a really big thing lately in society.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is just trying to get their mind right, which I think is a really, really positive thing, right? Like we've been raised to be strong-minded and not express our feelings and just handle things, right? Like if we're not just go into society and just make it work for yourself, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Society now is like more the mental health aspect of it. Like, okay, you know what? Let's talk to somebody. It was taboo in the Black community back in the day to be like, you know what, man, you don't need a psychologist. You don't need to talk to anybody. You can talk to me.
That's right.
And so I'm an advocate now of mental health, and especially in our community and in our industry as well. So I asked everybody this question: do you feel you have to be strong-minded to be, first off, an entrepreneur, and also just working in the beauty industry within itself?
Oh, absolutely. I think you need to be strong-minded for an entrepreneur, for sure. I mean, there is more work in entrepreneurship than I think people set out and believe in the beginning. So I think that it's something that people shouldn't take for granted, like the mental health. But yeah, I mean, it's something that you need as an entrepreneur for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. I wouldn't say like if you're struggling with whatever it is, right, with your mental health, man, go seek out and talk to somebody. Don't just try to figure it out on your own, right? Because I think we all need to sit and talk. So I'm an advocate of just we all need a therapist.
Yeah,
we all got something going on with ourselves, coming from our childhood and stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to get your intake on that one.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in 3 years?
Ooh, in 3 years, I see myself continue doing what I'm doing now, which is business coaching and accounting and tax work for the hair industry. I see that growing. I see my team growing. And I also see myself doing more speaking engagements. I want to talk to more schools so that I can catch those that are going into the beauty industry before they develop bad habits, because, essentially that's what it is. You get started on the wrong foot. So really want to become a big advocate before they enter into self-employment. So that's what I see. Also, I don't know in 3 years, but I do want to do more investing in real estate. So at some point doing more there, but yep. That's where I see myself.
Change your name from the hair CEO just the CEO.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah.
just one of those moguls out there in DC trying to make it happen. You come to California often? at all?
No, I've been to California once.
Okay.
It was San Fran. So
Right.
that's the only time I was in Cali. But I plan to go to LA. That's like one of my next stops. My plan is definitely to go.
Definitely when you're out here, let's connect because like we need that information out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hmm.
I know Instagram is good. You can always watch somebody through Instagram, but the clips are good. But I think like sitting down and doing like a nice small little seminar out here in
Hmm.
Southern California will be great for people in the hair industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you definitely got to tap in if you're out here in Southern California. I live in San Diego myself.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
live in
another
San Diego.
place on my list. That's another place on
Yeah,
my
yeah.
list.
It's this is vacation town year round.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. I need some of
we
that
pay
good
for
weather.
it. We pay for it, but you
In
know.
what way?
Oh, and girl, it's expensive. You know how much average house is out here in San Diego?
Tell me how much.
Like 750,000.
Wow. Yeah, that's a
And
lot.
what? Yeah, I'm talking about hood houses 750.
I mean, DC is getting that way too.
I heard DC, but y'all about like 400,000 in DC, right?
What?
Y'all ain't
No,
hit.
no, 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 no. No.
Where y'all at in DC?
Probably closer to 600,000 for the average. Oh
Wow.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
What's
Yep.
y'all minimum wage out there?
I don't know.
He said, I know.
Minimum wage? I have no idea. Who's
Oh,
making?
okay.
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Keep your
I'm
comments to yourself.
exactly. I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't get in trouble. All right,
I
don't
know.
get in
I was
trouble.
about to.
Yeah,
I was about
yeah.
to.
Don't get in
I was
trouble.
totally about to get in trouble right there.
Mm-hmm.
Glad I stopped myself.
So when you're not behind the chair, what do you want people to
Behind the
know?
chair.
When you're not behind it, when you're not doing
The computer
business,
chair.
computer chair, right? When you're not behind the computer chair, what do you want people to know about you?
Mm, I so I am always behind the computer, but what I want people to know is that I have a heart for just kids and education.
Okay.
So one thing that a lot of people don't know about me is I was the president of a organization called Children's International Summer Villages, and this organization is a peace education program. And so what we did was we took children from ages 11 to 17, and we had them go to different countries during the summer. And they were delegates of the United States, and they went to camps with children from other countries. So altogether, it'd be about 9 countries, 9 to 12 countries represented, 4 kids from each country. And they would focus on experiential learning in the areas of conflict and resolution, um, human rights, sustainability, and what was the last one? And geez, I can't remember the last one. Conflict and resolution, sustainability, human rights, and something else. I can't remember the fourth one. But we did all experiential learning based on those 4 content areas. And I mean, that's where I spent all of my time if I wasn't working. So I've traveled to about 8 countries as a leader to these countries with kids. You know, I've taken kids to Thailand, I've taken kids to Egypt, Spain, Italy, and just been there with them as they open their eyes to the way world works and just realizing that we have more similarities than differences. So that's something that always shocks people. They're like, what?
You're a philanthropist too, right? Like,
Yeah, those are the
that's
things
good, man.
that drive me.
That's good. That's good. Like one thing I love about being an entrepreneur and is the fact that you can do multiple things.
Yes.
Right? You don't have to just say like, okay, I'm gonna focus on this one thing and stay there. Like wherever your mind takes you or whatever your heart is at, you can just do it. Like,
yeah, but that's also dangerous too, right? Because
it is no, it is because I want to be great at everything.
Yeah.
And so when you add something else to your plate, like you want to be great at that, and what happens is you kind of spread yourself thin.
Exactly. Yep.
You spread yourself thin. So I told myself this year, like, I'm gonna complete every task that I have not completed over the years before I add anything else onto my plate. So I think that's important. Just at least complete the task. But my mind is always traveling, always going to places. It's like, okay, I could do this. I could do that. I want to do this. I want to do that. And so, just being
that's the entrepreneur there. That's that mindset.
That's the mindset that we have. So, man, this has been awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Man, no time. This has been awesome. But before you leave, I do a fun facts portion of the interview. So I'm gonna ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
About 2 questions. Maybe people don't know about you, but real quick. Fun facts. What's your favorite ice cream?
Oh, cookies and cream.
Cookies and cream?
Yeah.
Why cookies and cream?
Because I am an Oreo fanatic.
Okay.
And so
that makes sense.
Yeah, that's why it's my favorite.
That's it. It's point blank.
That's it.
All right. Name your top 5 movies.
Okay, this is going to be really difficult because one fun fact about me is I do not like watching movies.
Okay.
So they're going to all be old. So Coming to America, the original.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Let's see. Lean on Me. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. Favorite
showing
movie.
Your age.
Am I really? Everybody knows about Lean on Me and Coming to America.
But not
right?
The top 5.
But also, remember what I said. I don't watch movies. I don't like going to the movies, so I don't watch movies. So you're not going to hear anything recent.
Okay.
This is so hard. Movies.
How about that? Top two. Lean on Me and Coming to America. There we go.
Sorry. Because
that's what we get.
I'm sorry. I don't do movies.
It's all good. Like I said, I appreciate your time, girl.
Absolutely.
And much success to you, what you got going on with the Hair CEO and your businesses and all that stuff, man. So
I appreciate
you coming on Let's Talk About It podcast. I am Kay the Barber. You are?
Jennifer Drew, aka the Hair CEO.
All right, girl. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.